This is how YZN, North America's #1 BelVeth, turns a risky invade into a snowball. The early game isn't that perfect, but that's the lesson. YZN's initial pathing out of base is always the same. He goes to the river entrance bush next to his raptors. This is different from what I've been coached. I always go to the top side and guard the river, as shown here. I always try to ward level 1 at about the 1-minute mark as shown here. But YZN never wards initially. He always retains his trinket for later use in his invade. The enemy invades his jungle and first bloods Zeri. They've got the numbers now. This is a major mistake by YZN. Even though the fight has been won by the enemy team and essentially over, he decides to rotate to the point. Ambessa dies, then Bel'Veth dies after a couple of flashes. Not the start he wanted. But YZN doesn't tilt. Look at all the summoner spells he pinged. Man, I could never keep track of those. YZN heads out to his bot side. He always does a Raptors start clear. It doesn't appear that he ever thinks about which lane he's going to path towards. After completing his Raptors, it appears he's going to go to his red buff. But what? He skips his red buff. Why? Because YZN always invades the enemy jungler. But why this path? He suspected that someone warded his raptors, so he's making it appear that he goes down to the red buff. However, in this case, he gets lucky that the ward was placed too deep and does not fully cover the entrance to the river. But he continues his invade path. Nice ward to see if mid rotates. He sees that the blue buff and Gromp are both available, so that verifies that Echo is somewhere topside. Either his jungle or YZN's jungle. Who knows? After Wolves, he heads straight for the Gromp to get level 3. Remember, Raptors, Wolves, and Blue buffs do not give level 3. Notice how he doesn't use his E on the Gromp. He already knows he's going to gank, so he reserves his most powerful abilities. He starts out on the Ashe, but then transitions to the Lulu, who is much lower health, and secures the kill. After a successful gank, he disengages. Both he and Zeri are low in health, and no match for the Ashe right now. Perfect time for a recall. Ashe steps in and gets power aggro and a perfect W, and dies for her mistake. Through the early game, YZN is only down 8 CS, but he's up 1 kill, 1 assist, and now has 2 longswords on his way out. After taking Scuttle, he pings his intent to gank Tristana top lane. Another perfectly placed and timed W, and Tristana is dead. Great map awareness. He sees Echo coming up through the river and headed towards his raptors. Great pinging again to let everybody know what his intention is, but now he hides and gets ready for the ambush. He certainly has a lot more patience than I do. He Qs in, misses his W, then E's to try to kill the Echo, but the Echo flashes to safety. Let's break this down in slow motion. He Qs in and W's to try to get the reset, but the W misses. He Qs back towards the Echo and immediately E's to try to get the Echo. Unlucky, but his E prioritized the lower percentage health Raptors instead of the Echo. This is a big mistake. The play is over, but YZN continues to counter jungle the Echo, and in this case, because he didn't know where the Tristana was, he paid the price and died by her hand. Heading out of base, take a look at the mini-map. Where would you path to in this case? In game, I think I would have headed towards my Grump and then pathed down towards the Drake. But YZN heads towards his red buff, looking for a potential gank on the Ashe. He tries to evade it, but he gets sighted by Ashe's Hawk shot. At this point, he should just go ahead and take the red buff. After red buff and his Krugs, he goes to the bot lane for a lane gank. Notice how he stays back and evades vision to maintain his fog of war. Again, great map awareness by YZN. He sees the mid fighting and immediately paths there. Chains off Morgana's root with his W and secures the kill. Awesome timing of his ability. Okay, YZN's turn is over. But looking at the mini-map, what would you do at this stage? It appears to me that YZN thinks his turn is never over and always goes for the next kill. He rotates to a bot lane fight that is occurring. With a great flash, he surprises the Ashe and secures the kill. An advantage of taking flash over Ghost. Next priority is the dragon, so he heads down to the river and takes the scuttle first. But look, he doesn't take the Drake. This is a huge difference between YZN and myself. I would have taken this Drake straight away. But he notices Echo top, so he proceeds to the top side to defend his camps. He doesn't get the kill on the Echo, but he does preserve his camp and his team kills the Aksha. Appropriately, he bases, buys, and then heads back out towards the grubs. He's still level 5 when he arrives at the grubs, but he knows once he kills one grub, he'll get level 6. Then on the second grub, he'll get his coral to get his true form. But notice how he does not take the coral right away. Instead, he gets the third grub low enough, smites it, and then picks up the coral to do massive damage. Take a look at the mini-map. Where would you path to? The enemy knows he just took grubs and expects him to go to his top side. However, YZN, being the great BelVeth that he is, he proceeds to the bot side to protect his raptors. And look who he sees, Lulu trying to be nosy in his jungle. He chases the Lulu, but Echo is there and he skews away. Echo presses the fight. But look how YZN uses his E to mitigate the damage from the Echo and Q's out to kill him. It's easy to forget, but not only is your E an execute, but it also mitigates incoming damage. Notice what actually wins games here. Not the losing first fight, not skipping the first dragon. It's cooldown tracking, ward timing, pathing deception, punishing enemy mistakes, and great use of abilities to kill. The map feels small when the information is big. From here, YZN snowballs effortlessly, carrying his team to victory. For more breakdowns and real ranked improvement, subscribe and always embrace the void.